somebody. I was looking forward to seeing him. Now I'm sad. Oh, there you are. What are you doing over there, little buddy? Are you hiding from Granddad?
No.
What are you doing?
I was scared for a second there. I was scared for a second.
What were you scared of for a second? How about hug? Good morning, hug.
Lala and me were making up an idea.
Oh boy, what is
We
it?
would go to this puzzle.
Still build that house.
Oh, that's
Yeah, but first we're going to go on YouTube.
He wants to finish watching the TV.
that's fine.
Yeah, and it's actually, you don't know it, but I will tell you all the hobby guys.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Hobby Kids TV.
Really?
I'll tell you all of them.
Okay.
They tell you how much things they do. They do hobby gaming, hobby family TV, hobby kids TV, hobby guy, hobby Harry,
Hobby Harry.
hobby pig, hobby pig,
Hobby pig?
hobby frog, hobby bear, hobby. Did you hear me?
I did hobby bear.
Yeah, like Benny. Hobby bear, hobby mom, hobby dad, and I think that's it.
That's a lot.
7.
That's a
There's
lot.
7 guys that I only see.
That's a big puzzle you got there too. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not quite sure which one.
I won't have
This
fun
one's
with that.
big.
Yeah.
This is the big one, I know.
I don't know if that's the big one. Yeah, I think you might be right. I think this is the orange one.
Yeah, but I don't know.
And this is the green one.
I'm back, Biff. Jake there yet? Okay, good.
Secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday, mostly sunny skies, a daytime high of 87 degrees. Mainly clear overnight, 67 for the low. Sunshine, few clouds around for your Friday, with highs in the mid to upper 80s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yo, DJ, drop that beat.
Oh, it's on now.
Is it on now?
You serious?
Shut up and turn the radio on.
Put the radio
Just turn the radio on.
Turn it on now. Why?
We're on it now.
For real? For real.
Hey, now you're talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your kind attention, please, ladies and gentlemen? We can blast off.
It's time. It's showtime. Showtime.
Conversations you care about from people you know. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, celebrating the 100 days of summer.
73 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. It's clear skies there. 71 clear skies here at my home studios. In the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, 71 clear skies at the Rob Benson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. The numbers for COVID are beginning to rise a bit. In West Virginia, active COVID cases increased for the first time since early May. 78 new cases in the past 24 hours. That's across the entire state of West Virginia. 7 additional deaths there, in addition to an increased number of people being diagnosed with COVID. But as we know, the total deaths are virtually all from people who did not get vaccinated. Numbers are not so good across the world, as a matter of fact, as well. Again, I shouldn't say they're still good, but comparatively they're going the wrong way. World Health Organization reported yesterday COVID-19 deaths and cases are rising globally. Deaths increased by 3% last week, but that's after a 9-week decline. The number of cases rose by 10%. Again, this is worldwide. And one of the biggest factors driving the increase in all of this are the low vaccination rates. Ohio had the Vax-A-Million contest. In West Virginia, the governor is still driving around the state handing out prizes with his doggy in the Do It for Baby Dog contest, which I think is about as useless as you can possibly get, except to publicize the governor. The answer is clear and simple. It's vaccination, and yet we're still seeing so much effort being made to try to push back against vaccinations. With us from the Ohio Capitol Journal is Jake Zuckerman. Jake was with us a few weeks ago talking about some efforts being made in Ohio to do some anti-vax legislation. Jake, good morning, by the way.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Governor DeWine today is signing a bill that will prohibit vaccine mandates in schools. Is that not correct?
That's correct, so long as the vaccine in question has not received, quote, full approval, end quote, from the FDA. And as you know, these vaccines are currently available under the emergency use authorization.
Yeah, they're called emergency authorized. But that is a bill that has passed. When we talked a few weeks ago, there were some hearings in the Ohio House. I think it was the Health Committee. I forget on a package of actually anti-vax amendments. Which help me with the process here, Jake. I don't think it passed out of that committee, but then some of these measures made their way back into getting passed elsewhere in a different committee or in a different way. Am I correct about that?
Yeah. So if I'm using a broad brush here, I would say that what was up in that House Health Committee was a much broader bill. It involved all vaccines. It was just a much more sweeping piece of legislation. That is stuck in committee. Now, what made it to the governor, originally this bill, I mean, if you remove the actual policy components, it's almost funny. The bill had something to do with educational opportunities for military children, and then somehow it just got amended into this bill that bans schools from from mandating vaccinations for EUA-approved vaccines.
The anti-vax bills that we talked about a few weeks ago, they're actually still pending, but they're just wrapped up in committee or on a table in a committee or something?
Correct. They seem to be languishing. I mean, they've met some really heavy-hitting support in Ohio. Groups like the Ohio Manufacturers Association, the Chamber of Commerce, and the hospitals have all really forcefully come out against it. And those are some pretty powerful enemies to take on. And, the bill's introduced by a freshman. I don't know that some of her colleagues are super thrilled with the idea. It seems to be collapsing under its own weight, but it's still premature to say that.
Well, and in my opinion, the supporters of those anti-vax measures didn't do themselves any really good service by putting up some of the witnesses they put up. I mean, for folks who don't remember, we had the woman, what's her name, Tenpenny, I think, I can't remember her name, the woman who claimed that, you could just see all around you, people were having sporks and foons getting magnetized to their face, and there was another witness who came in and tried to prove it and said, look at this, they're magnetizing to me, and they fell off of her and stuff. I mean, it was really pretty goofy stuff. It got national attention. It got, I think the late night shows had some fun with it. They were just goofy. Again, I can say that. You're a journalist, maybe you don't want to, but I'm a talk show host. They were just
No,
goofy.
I think goofy is just the word.
Okay, all right. They were just goofy witnesses. But here's my question, Jake, and I think you did a little looking into this. Tenpenny, for example, has been on the scene for some time. They've tried to get her to become an expert witness in a couple of legal cases and so on. Judges have declined to qualify her as a legal witness. She's essentially been, I would use the word discredited. How does someone like that get onto a committee hearing as a witness.
Right, and that's just the question. And that committee took a unique shape because there was so much public interest that the leadership decided we're only going to take testimony by invitation. And in my reporting, what I learned is that the bill's sponsor, Jennifer Gross, in partnership with a lobbyist for one of these anti-vaccination groups, just said, we want Sherry Tenpenny and one other, I'd say, similar figure. And the House chairman, who really is aligned with them on vaccine issues, but seemingly he just seemed to see around the corner here with what was going to happen. But he said, I don't think we should do this. And they kind of overrode him. And it is ultimately his call, but it sounds like he was under a lot of pressure from the two of them. And he caved, and he let this woman come to give this, like you said, goofy testimony. Because it is goofy. I mean, we can beat around it, but it's nonsense. And
I read this? I read those exact words in your story in the Ohio Capitol Journal. That the chairman really didn't want these people to testify, but that essentially Gross and others overrode him. How can they can't really override him, right? They just eventually wore him down, maybe? I mean,
yeah, I think
the final decision was his, yes?
Yeah, it is his committee. I mean, he controls it. He calls the shots in that room.
So, and I want to, and maybe you can explain to the audience a little bit that Tenpenny has been, it's not just me saying this or you got me calling her goofy or whatever. She's actually been discredited in a number of different venues outside of that hearing in the past, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I think the one I pointed out in my article was back in 2010. So the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, actually, there's a special court for vaccine injury, which it's incredibly rare, but it's something that does and can happen. And I want to emphasize how rare it is. And I mean, there are a handful of payouts a year, but we do have a special legal system just for this. And it's handled by what's called a special master, which in this case, a judge kind of just appoints someone who really understands vaccines and the potential for vaccine injury and the rarity of these things. And a person claimed that a hepatitis vaccine gave them Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is this rare neurological complication. It can cause paralysis. It can be fatal. I mean, it's really a serious complication. But again, it's incredibly rare. And he tried to have Dr. Sherry Tenpenny and one other like-minded physician testify as an expert witness and read the medical reports and say, this is my professional medical opinion that this person was injured. And this special master reviewed Tenpenny's report, and there was what's called a Daubert challenge mounted against her, which is basically just a way of saying in court, this person's not an expert, and I want her testimony cut from the record. I don't want anyone to hear her testimony. So it became almost a trial of her credentials and her expertise. And, I mean, this judge didn't pull any punches in this report. He said this person has no training in the field, has no expertise in the field, has never been subjected to peer review, let alone any real scrutiny of these ideas. I mean, she has a bunch of self-published books and has anointed herself an expert by way of excessive media interviews, but this person is not an expert. He's unreliable, and I won't allow it in the courtroom. So when you look at someone who has just been so thoroughly and clearly designated as a non-expert on vaccine issues, I think there's a perfectly fair question to be asking of why are legislators fighting tooth and nail to hear these people out in a public way? And then when you look at the actual testimony she gave to the legislature, not all that surprising.
The special master you were talking about, I'm quoting from your article here, said that her methodology was, quote, so divergent from the scientific method as to be nonsensical and confusing. Maybe a little gentler way of saying what I said, goofy.
Yeah, it sounds to me like goofy. I mean, he almost...
But what's I won't say even more frightening, but what is also frightening is that she's actually charging people to watch her seminars and to read her books and to attend her, what she called a boot camp, I think. She's promulgating these theories and actually making money off of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough in these sorts of things to sort out kind of the true believers from the more profit-motivated types. And it's hard to say what she is, but it's clear that she has really found a way to profit off of this disinformation, which kind of helps explain some of the behaviors you see.
She was charging, again, according to your story in the Ohio Capital Journal, platinum package tickets for her boot camp for $199 and different things there. This has to be a typo. This has to be a typo in your article. She's written a book called Saying No to Vaccines, a resource guide for all ages. It's available on Amazon for $877?
That is not a typo. That is the list price on Amazon right now, and I was as shocked as you are.
Holy mackerel.
I have no evidence, mind you, that anyone has actually paid that. I'd be shocked
I was just
to
going
hear
to say,
that
I wonder if
anyone
anybody's actually bought it. I actually wondered about that, if anybody bought it, but holy mackerel, jeez. Do you know, have you followed up on her at all after she was at the State House? Has she been testifying anyplace else in the past few weeks, do you know?
Not that I know of, but she's still very active. She hosts a podcast. I know I can't think of if it was before or after the hearing, but pretty recently she had Mike Lindell on, who's more commonly known as the My Pillow guy.
The My Pillow guy, yeah, My Pillow.
Yeah, and you know, he's facing all kinds of libel lawsuits for his untrue claims. She's longtime friends with Alex Jones, who's the guy who claimed the Sandy Hook school shooting was a giant hoax. So the amount of time she seems to spend in media circles interviewing people who are almost notorious for their lies and the libel suits in connection with their lies almost helps paint the picture.
You know, what's a little bit scary to me, Jake, look, social media we expected from, I suppose, the media world in general, for their, whether it's Alex Jones or podcasts or whatever, disinformation or misinformation will come out. And I don't know this much we can do about it. But you would expect better of an actual hearing in a government. The State House hearing, you would expect a little higher standard of witnesses. Yes, talk show hosts sometimes bring on the craziest of guests. And, I had a guy on years ago who claimed he'd taken a tour group to Mars. So, I mean, we put on some weird people sometimes. And again, podcasts are out there, and books can be written, and social media posts can be there. But I would expect an official government hearing to take a little more higher standard. But that didn't happen here in this case in Ohio.
Yeah, it almost reminded me of what happened in Michigan with, and the woman's name is escaping me, but she was kind of lampooned on SNL, but she's the one who testified about all the ballot fraud that was happening there.
Yeah.
And it was similarly, you hear this and what you're hearing is untrue. It's sort of conspiracy drivel, but when it's set, when the cameras are rolling and you have the wood tables and hands are folded across them and you're speaking through the chair to the member, there's just a certain legitimacy you give to ideas when you bring these witnesses up to the podium. And, in most hearings, lawmakers have no control over who. It's like a public forum. Anyone can come and speak. But this person was brought to the legislature by a state lawmaker, by a political leader here, and I think doubtlessly did damage to the vaccination efforts. I mean, when you think about how much, ad buy, you're in the media industry, how much people pay for advertisements. These people didn't have to pay to reach millions and millions of Americans with these completely nonsensical claims about vaccines. The damage is done, no matter how much you shine a light on it and debunk the claims. It's out there, and it has now been broadcast with almost the Ohio legislature's stamp of approval on it in a certain way.
Exactly. And part of me says, yes, but most people recognize it for the stupidity it was. Most people made fun of it. I think the late night comics, actually, a couple of them picked up on it and used it in their late night monologue. So my temptation is to go, yes, but she was embarrassed and clearly discredited. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of people heard it and believed it, especially those who maybe were having their previous convictions reinforced or their previous fears reinforced by the things she said. I would like to think that sane and normal people hear what she had to say and take the approach that you have and I have and that most of our listeners here I think have, which was, oh my God, how can they say that? But there are people who heard it and bought into it and will repeat it to their friends and neighbors at the PTA meeting. Well, I heard a doctor say that it magnetizes your body. I mean, and you're right, and it does so with the imprimatur of the Ohio legislature, which is crazy. So, do you think these bills will come back out of committee, or are they just going to sit there forever?
I suspect the much broader bill I mentioned will have to be narrowed in some way if it's going to make it out of that committee. I think that's what the sponsor wants, or I think that's what the chairman wants. I think it's what the sponsor might recognize as the only possible way forward for it. I couldn't tell you what a narrower form might look like. Maybe it's restricted to just the COVID vaccine, or maybe it becomes just a bill about hospital workers and flu shots, which is a big issue. I don't really know. I really question the wisdom of any bill, frankly. I mean, it's not really my place to be giving, opinions on policy advice, but vaccines aren't, they're not tax policy. These aren't soft science, well, it could go either way things. Vaccines are safe and effective products, and political machinations shouldn't be working against them. I'm in Ohio where fewer than 50% of people are vaccinated. I know your listeners are in West Virginia. I think you guys are around 40%. We have a real problem in this country. The legislative solution we need is not restrictions on vaccination.
And we are seeing significant evidence now that the unvaccinated really are at greater risks. Virtually all, the numbers I hear, 98 to 99% of the deaths from COVID now are people who have been unvaccinated. And I mentioned earlier, the COVID numbers themselves are rising. Not among me or you, I assume you're vaccinated, but not among those of us who have been vaccinated, but among the unvaccinated. I mean, there's evidence out there that the vaccine works and not having it can be deadly, and yet people still aren't buying it. I don't get it. But there's a lot of conspiracy.
Oh, I was just going to say, here's the way I've been thinking through it lately, too, that I think that people might just be a little more receptive to, is that we live in the United States where more than half of people essentially get health care through the government, whether it's Medicare or Medicaid. In West Virginia, that rate's even higher. COVID-19 right now is a vaccine-preventable illness. So every tax dollar that is spent on a ventilator or on care or on, hospital stay or an EMS ride, it's preventable spending. I mean, the outlays are going to be huge. We're going to be spending huge public health care dollars to stop a disease that never had to carry in the first place. And, I don't know what you do with that, but it's kind of a sad indictment of where the country's at right now.
It's a really good point, though. And there's so much of this conspiracy stuff going on. There was another story in the Capital Journal that I saw today, which is not a story from you, it's not byline with you, but state school board member asked the Ohio superintendent, "Are you paid by Bill Gates?" I have to assume this was tied into the old theory that somehow Bill Gates is behind us all getting vaccinated so he can track us or something. It's out there everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, it's correct. I read that comment, and I think anyone who's been paying attention for the last 12 months, that's like a bat signal. Something like a Bill Gates comment. You know exactly what they're saying, and that's our state school board. I mean, how deep does this stuff go in our government?
When we talk about the deep state, I think this is the deep state maybe getting deeper and deeper, and that's scary stuff.
You found it.
Exactly. Hey, Jake, I appreciate your time this morning. I appreciate your time all the time. Good stuff. I do encourage people to check out the Ohio Capital Journal. You got a lot of good stuff there today and almost every day. It's one of my first reads of the morning. So Thanks for joining us. I know I'll be talking to you again soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for reading, Howard.
All right, thanks a lot. Jake Zuckerman, Ohio Capital Journal. And it really is it's a good roundup of stories. I talk about the Ohio Capital Journal and sort of a partner. It's not really a partner technically, but a companion to it in West Virginia's the Mountain State Spotlight. They are both independent websites, news sites, funded by groups like ProPublica and some others that are designed to help provide better journalism. And what both of those do, Mountain State Spotlight and Ohio Capital Journal, is they don't just do the daily, news of the day like Brad and Jeff and the others do on Metro News, but they dig into stories that have more meaning and more controversy and more significance, and that's why I check them both very frequently. And you hear folks from both of those places on this show frequently because they do some good digging. 9:32, 28 till the hour, 72 degrees. The he is now former, the city manager of Weirton resigned at the council meeting earlier this week. It was a very bizarre meeting, it seemed to be, and he made some very bizarre claims, which he actually gave more details about on Statewide Talk Line here on the Watchdog yesterday. I want to talk about that coming up in just a minute. 9:33, 27 till the hour. We are the Watchdog Morning Show as we check into Metro News.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia.
I can cancel this for you. if you have cuts 11 and 14 that I asked for there. All right, I think I'll use those here.
Big box stores, paying top dollar for firearms, gold, silver, tools, coins, and electronics. Don't lose your good credit. Let us give you instant cash. Stop by 2 North Broadway Street on Wheeling Island, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturday,
That's just okay.
p.m. Island Pawn Brokers. Stop in.
We designed 7 News app. Our new app features a sleek, modern design, an easy-to-navigate home screen with quick access to local news content, and a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier, and with one tab, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video. To get the new WTRF 7 News app, just update the latest version or download the WTRF 7 News app in your Apple or Google Play Store by searching WTRF.
Getting a COVID-19 vaccine is the best way to protect you and your loved ones. The vaccines have been tested, they're safe, and they work. And they're available at pharmacies in many locations across West Virginia. Making the choice to get vaccinated means getting West Virginia back to regular life. Here's West Virginia University men's basketball coach Bob Huggins.
The pandemic took away the greatest home court advantage in college basketball, our Mountaineer fans. I'm Coach Huggins, and I'm tired of empty arenas, masks, and social distancing. That's why I got my COVID vaccine. They're safe, free, and available almost everywhere without hassle or delay. Let's work as a team, get vaccinated, and fill a Coliseum next season. I'm Coach Huggins. I got my COVID shot. Now the ball's in your hands.
Get your free COVID-19 vaccine today. Find a location near you. Visit vaccinate.wv.gov.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Hey there, Dave Weekley here. Metro News Hotline presents what's trending in sports, music, movies, tech, television, and more from a Mountain State point of view. Renowned local and national guests pepper the daily lineup with authoritative insights and commentary on a wide variety of topics from West Virginia high school sports to the financial markets. Join the fun. Every day, Coop and I dip into irreverent discussions with calls, texts, tweets, the question of the day, and the always popular In or Out. Metro News Hotline, weekday afternoons from 3 until 5 on the Watchdog, WKKX, and WVLY.
Watch out! He could climb on his soapbox at any time. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
For the one on me, to the one stormy once, she's a friend of mine. Take it easy.
73 degrees, Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 72 here at the home studios in Elm Grove, and 72 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley, where we have pretty much sunshine and clear skies going on. So that's all well and good, and that's kind of the way it's going to be all day long today. Your daytime high should be up to around 86 degrees. You know, I have always loved to tell stories. Yes, sometimes here on the radio I tell stories, but I'm referring to with my own kids, and of course now I tell stories with Teddy. I love to tell stories. My classic stories with my own boys were of Nigglemeyer the Baloney Man, the Baloney Man, the Baloney Man, Nigglemeyer the Baloney Man. He eats a lot of meat. And his friend, Mr. Swiss Cheese, and it goes on, because they lived in the land of lunch meat. I make up stories. I tell the kids stories. I told them about Galunky, who is the monster that wasn't scary looking. And so the other monsters didn't like him because he wasn't scary looking. And I've just begun a whole new series story that I tell to my little grandson Teddy about Galauser the wizard, and they go out on a picnic one day with the three boys, 7, 3, and 5, and Hootie the owl, Ferdinand the fish, and Benji the bear. Ooh, ooh. And they get on a magic carpet and they have a picnic. So I'm a storyteller. I make up stories all the time. I tend to try to not make my stories too scary for the kids, because, kids can get antsy, get a little nervous, get a little scared. But sometimes kids just want something scary. Here's a case, true story, of some little kids who ask their Amazon personal assistant, you know her name. If I say it, she'll pop up right now. Alexa. Cancel. They ask their Amazon personal assistant to tell them a story. And so she whispered a story, which scared the bejabbers out of these kids.
Alexa, tell me a horror story. Alexa, turn it off. I want to stop. Alexa, turn off.
Alexa, stop.
I didn't quite hear what she said, but she whispered something. I think that the Amazon personal assistant, something like, "Did you hear what's behind you?" And it just set them off into crazy land. I've told the story before. It was not intended to be a horror story. My youngest son was asleep on the couch one night at his house when, in the dark, the rest of his family had gone to bed. He fell asleep on the couch. Lights were off. It was dark. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he hears, "Would you like to chat?" And it turned out it was Alexa. He jumped 6 feet in the air, turned on every light in the house. So there you go. You might try it yourself. I may do it. I'll wait until Teddy's not around. I might try it myself and ask her to tell me a horror story, and see what she says. Biffy, we talked earlier this week about Richard Branson going up into space, and I think we both said we would like to go into space if we could, if it didn't cost us $1 billion or whatever, and be able to look down and see the Earth. Right? You'd like to do that. I'd like to do that.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be fun. If this were expanded beyond just a ride up and a ride back and a look down at the Earth, would you want to go to a trip to the moon? If they made moon tourism possible, would you want to go to a trip on the moon?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I think so too. Again, it's not ready now. I wouldn't want to be a guinea pig for it, but I think if we had it to the point where you could relatively safely go to the moon, and it wasn't too expensive, I would like to do it. A new survey shows that 2 out of 5 Americans would not go to the moon. 2 out of 5 would not go to the moon. So 40%, even if their safety was guaranteed. 6% of those people say they'd rather just visit places here on Earth. Now, I don't know that it has to be one or the other. Well, if you're going to go to the moon, you can't visit places here on Earth. But while it seems like billionaires are falling all over each other to shoot themselves into space, a number of Americans are simply not interested. 42% say they would turn down a trip to the moon. 50% say they would go to the moon. Men more likely to want to go than women. I guess that's probably true. I don't want to stereotype. I don't want to get in trouble. I always do, but I don't want to get in trouble. But probably men are a little more, I don't want to say courageous, that's not the right word, but are more willing to take a risk, take a dare to do something than women would. Is that a fair statement to make, do you think, Biff?
Yeah, I think so, and that's part of the reason why women outlive us more, I think.
That's true, too. That's true, too. This is interesting to me. I'm a baby boomer. Baby boomers, we grew up in the era of spaceflight. We grew up watching the creation of the Mercury program and the Gemini program and the Apollo program, and then the landings on the moon and the multiple the multiple trips to the moon. Baby boomers, we lived through that. We were the space generation. So it's interesting that in this survey, millennials were more likely to say yes to a moon trip than were baby boomers. Have we baby boomers gotten so sedate in our old age we don't want to go up there? I don't know. I guess once upon a time, if somebody said to me at 9:30 at night, "Hey, you want to come down to the bar and have a few beers?" I go, "Yeah, baby, let's go." Nowadays, they say to me, "Hey, at 9:30 at night, you want to come down and have a few beers at the bar?" I'm sorry, I'm in my pajamas. So maybe it's a function of getting older. I guess. I don't know. Some say the moon would be boring to go to. Others say they're just plain scared. Some say they have a fear of flying, fear of heights, claustrophobia. These are some of the reasons people say they would not want to go to the moon. Some say they're too old. Listen, some say there's no point. Quote, there's no point. There's no point. I guess it's not like, but there's no point in going to the Grand Canyon either.
Right.
You go to the Grand Canyon just to take it in.
Yeah, just for the fact to say that you've done it or it was a bucket list. Bucket list item.
You go to the Grand Canyon and you simply take it in and you say, "Wow, this is nature at its finest. This is the power of nature, the power of God. This is wonderful." You don't go to do anything. There's no purpose to it. You're not going to go to get more exercise or what have you. You go just because it's there. So there's no point to going to the moon? Well, no, I would agree. There's no point. It's not like you can go up there and get a bucket of gold or anything. But to me, the point is there is no point. You just go for the sake of going. And others say they just, even though this was a hypothetical question asked of them, others say they just can't get past the concern about safety. And again, it says, the survey said, if it was safe, would you go? But some say they just can't get past the concern about safety. So there you go. It would take roughly 3 days to get to the moon if you took a trip there. If it didn't cost me a lot, and if I could afford it, I would go. If Bill Bryson and Uniglobe were having a trip to the moon, I'd like to go. Spend the night there or something, I wouldn't mind that.
And I bet Bill could plan a whole itinerary around it.
You're exactly right. Now we're going to take some time and go over to the Sea of Galilee over here, and then we're going to go to the craters on the west tomorrow. Yeah, Bill would have the whole itinerary planned out. You're right. He'd have plenty of things for you to do if you went there. It's 10 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Bob Westfall coming up in a few minutes, so we hope to talk to us about what's going on at the Big Seven. I see breaking news from the Big Seven. Wheeling police have arrested a couple in an overnight shooting. Apparently it happened right behind Lowe's, Biffy. This will create some issues. Near a homeless encampment, a man stabbed a woman. Police say when they arrived, they met a woman who had a knife stuck in her back and a man who was fighting her. The woman. Now keep in mind, the woman had a knife stuck in her back, but she began to threaten the police officers, and she pulled the knife off her own back and threw it at the cops.
Jeez!
Wow! Holy mackerel! Police say they tried to de-escalate the situation. Both became combative and started a fight. Police say they were able to get the couple under control and to detain them. She's a 41-year-old woman with a Wheeling address, taken to WVU Medicine Wheeling Hospital by the fire department. And is it her? Yeah. And she will be charged with battery on an officer. She was, in a sense, the victim. She was the one who was stabbed, and she ends up going for assault on an officer because she throws a knife at the cops. Wow. Story is on the Big Seven's website already. Bob Westfall is here. Maybe he can flesh out that story some more, but it's a strange story I'm looking at here, Bob, on your page about an overnight stabbing down around Lowe's.
Yeah, we just literally got the information in a little bit ago. So yeah, you know what I know from the press release. So yeah, apparently arrested overnight, a Treva Lynn Ross, 41 of Wheeling, taken to Wheeling Hospital Fire Department. Also a Eugene Ray Ham, from Valley Grove in custody as well. So yeah, those are the details we have right now, but, yeah, we'll continue to ask. We'll see what we can get from Wheeling PD on this. Get some kind of update for later today.
If I'm understanding the story, I'm reading it correctly. I'm looking at the police report now. They went because she had been stabbed in the back.
Yeah, according to the release. Yep.
But then she pulled the knife out of her own back and threw it at the cops.
Right.
That's a strange story.
Yeah. So yeah, cops are trying to de-escalate, according to the press release. Yeah, I mean, I don't. This is a version domestic. I don't know the relationships of the people involved, but I know as a relative of a police officer, no police officer likes to respond to a domestic situation, and this kind of falls into that situation. So, yeah, especially because you just don't know who's going to be fighting who, and that's kind of what it looks like here. Is they were fighting each other, and then it just then the cops became the targets. So yeah, domestics are not something the police officers like to go after. So yeah, but we'll see what further details we can get with this one.
This was a little bit more intense than normal, but one of the problems that officers have sometimes, the people they think they're going to help end up being the ones that cause them the most problems.
Right.
You know, the people they think are the victims turn out to be the ones who don't want the cops there. So, strange story.
Yeah.
Well, you'll follow that. What else are you working on today?
All right, we had a shooting in East Liverpool. We're following up on our sister station, WKBN, got that for us. A little bit of details on that as we speak. Actually, our former producer, John Renforth, who is now at KBN, gave us the heads up on that one. So we are working on that. A little bit of details rolling in as we've got. So we do have that. Something else we're working on today, we're going to talk to Senators Capito and West Virginia and Sherrod Brown from Ohio. I'm sure you saw the CDC report yesterday talking about the record number of overdoses last year, partially due to the pandemic, among other things. And, of course, West Virginia has been hit hard. Ohio is probably right behind it when it comes to the overdose epidemic. We're going to get the reaction from Senators Capito and Sherrod Brown on that release yesterday. I mean, I know both have been leading the charge when it comes to the situation. So be curious to see what they've got to say about that. So we will have them today as well.
Sounds good.
Other things we're working on, group out of, we're going to talk to Frank O'Brien today. We're going to talk to Denny Magruder. Tourism's comeback. Capitol's wide open now. Broadway's back at the Capitol. We've got a couple concerts coming up, things like that. We've got a couple football games this weekend. Indoor football games at the arena, at West Banco Arena. So yeah, basically we're going to talk to them about the comeback of tourism, things like that. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to talk to Frank O'Brien with the CVB and Denny Magruder at the West Banco Arena, what they're seeing. So, I guess, again, as I hate to use cliches, it's kind of the new normalcy where we're going after the COVID pandemic. Of course, you know, we've got the old Delta variant out there too, so we're going to take a look at that.
Yeah. Back to the Capitol for a second. I was very excited to see the Broadway at the Capitol shows being announced. One of my absolute all favorite shows of all times is Fiddler on the Roof, and they're going to be doing that. I got to make sure I go see that. There's going to be a Cirque Christmas, which should be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting what else is there. And then there's one I'm not familiar with, Menopause the Musical.
Yeah, I saw that too. I don't know that one.
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, yeah. I'm sure there's a joke out there, and Biff's probably thinking about it, but I'm not touching it. I'm not either. Wheeling Hall of Fame is to be announced today, so we're kind of excited about that. We'll see who's going to make it. Are you in the Hall of Fame, Howard?
I am not in the Wheeling Hall of Fame. I think I should be. Well, do they have a Hall of Infamy?
Well, yeah, you'd be the first one in.
In the Wheeling Hall of Infamy. No.
Yeah.
I have made, along with your some of your own colleagues, the West Virginia Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I'm in that.
Yes. Let's see. Who else from here is in it? Brenda.
Brenda's in it.
Mark
Steve
Davis.
Frazier was in it. Yeah,
Steve
Mark
Frazier.
Davis. So I feel like I'm in good company with those folks. So that's pretty good.
Someone's got to keep you in line.
Well, that's true.
Well, that's what the missus is for.
Yeah, and God knows she certainly does.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. Anything else?
Let's see what else we're working on today. The Wheeling PD and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms holding a presser. Actually, is just about as we speak. A program that's going to help with violent criminals, violent crime. So I'm kind of curious about this one. Not a lot of details in the press release, but our newest reporter, Ashley Kaiser, and Danny Mayers are down there. So kind of excited to see what Ashley comes back. Excited about having her on the team, so that's great. So she'll be down there, and we'll have that. That'll be in our 6 o'clock newscast.
All right, that sounds good. And I'm hoping at some point you'll follow up on the Weirton City manager story, because I'm still intrigued by what actually happened up there this week.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's probably public record. We got there's a meeting tomorrow morning, City Council, 9:30 tomorrow morning, first thing. So I'm sure that's going to be on the agenda. I'm sure they're going to be looking for an interim, and I believe they're going to address the accusations that he made before he resigned. So that's tomorrow morning at 9:30. So that is happening. So there will be a follow-up tomorrow. And we've tried to reach out to him, but with no luck so far.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate the effort you guys make. It sounds like you got some good stuff to work on today, and we'll be following it and checking things out at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, 5:30 for the statewide coverage. And, of course, we'll always be staying on top of things all day long at WTRF.com. Bob, we will be here tomorrow, but I won't be. Butch Maxwell is here, so you're welcome to call him. But I'm going to be off tomorrow.
You're going out to play my roots and probably will hungover.
I'm going to be going out to. It has something to do with roots, a root canal. I have to have some teeth pulled, so I won't be here. All right, Bob. Thank you. I appreciate it. Talk to you. I'll talk to you Monday. You'll talk to everybody else tomorrow. And Brother Biff, I got to go and get out of here, but I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Are you back with me?
I am here to wrap up the week.
We'll keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Average payment to family.
All right, Biffy. I don't know what Butch's story is. I know he's still on the show tomorrow. That's the best I know. Okay, that's good. Okay. So the hallway is clear? Okay. All right. And temperature? Oh, it's still high. Oh, there's still, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay. And then the doors open? Yeah, okay. All right. So actually, Butch should be, how did Rocky's show go yesterday from the studio, okay? I listened to it, sounded okay. Okay, I gotcha, yeah. All right, well, then maybe Butch will just come in tomorrow, I guess. It would be easier for everybody. Yeah, and like I said, we have to accept the fact that's not going to be for a while, because that's a Robinson thing, and they have to find someone to do it and then contract with them. And right now, believe me, I know nobody comes right away. It's weeks, if not months, before somebody comes once they've signed a contract. So. Well, hopefully, and then they've got to get the carpet out from underneath the equipment. The old carpet's there, but that's their problem, not mine. Well, the sooner we get back, the better. I just think once the heat goes down and the noise goes away, the aesthetics we'll have to live with for a while. Yeah, I didn't hear anything in the background when you turned your mic on today, so. That's good. All right, well, we're making progress. It's been a week. I didn't realize it's just hard to believe it's been a week already since the flood. Yep. All right, well, again, I will actually not be in tomorrow, and I'm guessing I won't be listening because I'll probably be in pain. But, yeah, exactly. So, and unless there are complications, I should be in on Monday. Although I'm thinking I may not put the video feed up on Monday, because I don't know, they have a couple of teeth they have to pull. And then a couple, she said, I'm just not sure if we're going to save them or not. And if I look like a jack-o'-lantern, I'm not putting the video feed on, but hopefully things will be okay by Monday. Yep. All right. Thanks for your help today. Turned out to be a pretty good show. And I don't know what Butch has got, but he'll do something tomorrow. And if not beforehand, I'll talk to you on Monday, or maybe I'll drop down from my usual Sunday visit anymore. All right. Thanks for your help. I really appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.
I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. Weather, look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Mostly sunny skies, a daytime high of 87 degrees. Mainly clear overnight, 67 for the low. Sunshine, few clouds around for your Friday, with highs in the mid to upper 80s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on the Metro News Radio Network.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded. We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
Holy smoke. From the studios of the West Virginia Radio Corporation and the Metro News Radio Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful radio show in West Virginia. This is Metro News Talk Live with Hoppy Kercheval.
Check set lineup link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Q Hoppy. You're on.
Metro News Talk Line with Hoppy Kercheval is brought to you by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on Metro News. Hoppy Kercheval with you. Thanks to Dave Wilson for sitting in yesterday. Ethan Collins is our producer. Vincent Stoll and Taylor Kennedy handling the video stream. You can watch at WVMetroNews.com. The phone number is 1-800-765-8255. Text me 304-TALK-304. Email me talkline at WVMetroNews.com. A lot of ground to cover today. We'll start with this. The drug epidemic in this country and in West Virginia is worsening. Report in the Wall Street Journal by reporter Betsy McKay. Drug overdose deaths in the U.S. surged nearly 30% in 2020. In West Virginia, according to new figures that have been released from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in West Virginia in 2020, 1,377 deaths in West Virginia in 2020 related to drug overdoses. That is a 49% increase from 2019, when there were 1,179 deaths. And frankly, we were trending downward. We were getting better until 2020. Betsy McKay, reporter for the Wall Street Journal, joins us on Metro News Talkline via